Hello, hello! Welcome to Tuesday Night Live. This is Betty Sakosha. I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator and the team leader for the Power of Positive Inking. Thank you for joining me for Tuesday Night Live. I have a couple of cards to show you with the stamp set that's not going to be around much longer, so I definitely want to make sure, whoa, so much better. Okay, so I want to make sure that you know about it before it goes away, because I don't want you to miss out. Hello, Janice. Thanks for joining me. Okay, I'm going to flip you down and get started right away. Okay, and boom, boom. Okay, so here we go. This is the stamp set I'm talking about. It's called Cactus Cute. Whoa. My phone just went a little wonky on me. Okay. It's called Cactus Cuties, and it's on page 66 of the current January to June 2022 mini catalog. So if you have this catalog, you can find it on page 66. If you don't, you can find it online on page, I'm not sure what page it's on, but you can get the PDF, and then it would be on page 66. So this is the stamp set I'm talking about. I've been playing with this a lot recently as I've used it for some clubs that I run, stamping clubs, and the more I play with it, the more I like it, and I don't want you to miss out on it because right now it is very trendy. So here's a stamp set here called Cactus Cuties. The stamp set itself is only $17. Very, very affordable. And wait till you see with all the ideas that I came up with that you can use it for. So it comes with 3 greetings. Hope your day is on point. Just a note and hello. And it comes with all these cacti along with 3 pots. I actually am not sure, but I'm guessing these are also cactus. I don't know that much about cactus, but I do know that these are cute. And let me show you the things that I've made with them. We're going to make a couple of them here today. So I'm calling this blending 2 ways because we are going to blend 2 ways. Oh, I forgot to tell you, it comes as a bundle or individually. So the stamp set is $17. The punch that accompanies it, so it coordinates with it, looks like so. And the punch itself is $18. The stamp set is $17. You can get the combination for $31.50. You save 10% by getting the combination. Now, there are very handy things about this, but if you're on a budget, don't let it stop you from getting this because you can certainly do a lot with even just this. Okay, so let me, good evening, Jody. So let me get you started and show you what we're going to make tonight. All right, the first card that we are going to make is a very, very simple blend that I'm going to show you. All right, so let me get all of my guts together here. Oh, I forgot I needed some scrap. Perfect. Okay. Actually, I'm gonna do it right on the card itself. Okay, so let me pull in my color combination that I'm using for this card. I was looking for something kind of deserty, if you will, something that went with cactus. And so I chose the new Tahitian Tide, Old Olive, and Calypso Coral. So those are the colors that I'm working with along with white. So my cactus is going to, I'm going to start with the pot first, actually. Let's do the pot first. My cactus is going to be olive, but I'm going to start with my pot first. Okay, so here it is. You can see I got ink all over the outside of that, so let's give that a little wash. If you do not have Stampin' Up's chamois, they are so fantastic. Ugly as all, but so fantastic. They, this is how they look when they are well loved. But they get all of the goo off. Look at that. All of the goo is off, so that's perfect. All right. Good evening, Debbie. Okay, so what we're doing tonight for this one, I have decided I combined the new Tahitian Tide along with Bermuda Bay. I thought these actually went great together. They are both water things, right? So they must go well together. But I actually think they make a really good, what I consider to be a southwestern looking pot. for my cactus. You know what? Let me see if I can adjust my camera a smidge so that you see less of my stand and more of my space. Whoa. Okay. Whoa, sorry. Okay. Those camera people, they're handy. If you know any, they are handy to have. Okay, you know what? I will move you right here, and that will work out perfect. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with my Tahitian Tide, which is a little bit more of a lighter color, if you will. And I'm going to ink up my pot. Can you see? I don't know if you can see. Let me see if I pull this behind it. Can you see all the bubbles on that? I don't know if you can see that, but I did a video about a week ago, or maybe more, I don't know, all about new ink pads and how juicy they are, which is fantastic. But if you're not looking for, if I were to stamp this, okay, I will stamp it. I'm going to stamp it in some scrap so you can see how it's going to look. So I inked this up. I stamp it on here, and it's really kind of mottled looking, if you will. Does that look kind of mottled to you? Looks mottled to me. The reason for that is there's a lot of bubbles on this. And the reason that there's a lot of bubbles on it is because there's a lot of ink in this ink pad. So I'm taking a spoon and I'm smushing the ink back into the ink pad. Get that little thingy off there, whatever that is. And so your ink pad almost looks like it kind of takes on a different color, right? But I've just taken the ink, smushed it into the pad. I'm going to re-ink. I get way less bubbles, and this is the image I get the second time around. So much less mottled, okay? So that was the first one. Pretty dark, but mottled. And this is the second one, much more uniform look. So that's what I'm going for here. Okay, so I'm going to, I've got my Tahitian Tide on there. Now I'm going to add some Bermuda Bay. I am using an old dauber. So this is a sponge dauber. You can see that it is mighty dirty. It used to be used in some kind of pink. I put these in the dishwasher, run them through a regular dishwasher, dab them on a paper towel so that all of the moisture comes out of it, and let it dry for about a day. And they're good to use again, and you can use a completely different color, and you won't pick up the color you had on there previously. So that's what I'm doing. So this is my, some people have one for each, and that's fine too if that's your style, but I just use my old ones and I wash them, and it seems to work fine for me. So I'm using Bermuda Bay, and I'm just going to take I've already inked that up in the Tahitian Tide, and I'm just going to take the side of it and add some Bermuda Bay. And so in the end, it's going to look like this really cool pot. That's my goal. We gotta have goals. Okay, let me move my ink pads out of the way. I'm going to bring in a sponge, not a sponge, a pad. Where did I put it? Oh, it's underneath here. Okay, so this is, Stampin' Up used to sell these paper piercing mats. And that's what I'm using. If you don't have one of these, a magazine will work fine. A mouse pad will work fine. Something like that, just to give a little smush. And the reason for that is that this is a photopolymer stamp, and it's got no squish factor underneath. Red rubber have a squish factor, and they stamp better without a sponge underneath, but the photopolymer, really, you get a better image if you've got some kind of squish factor underneath. Now, I've been chatting for entirely too long, so this could be dried out a little. So I'm going to huff on it, which means I just breathed on it. And that remoistens the whole stamp. I'm gonna just... So now you get that kind of two-tone blended stamp look there. I'm going to do that one more time and decide which one I like better. Okay, so I'm inking it in my Tahitian Tide. I'm going to pull in my sponge dauber, daub the edges. I didn't know if too much of that was, I don't know. They all come out different. So let's see what I like better on my second sample here. I didn't have to huff on that because I wasn't chatting nearly so much. Okay, so I got this one or this one. I actually think I like this one better. So that's what I'll go with tonight. All right, let me clean off my stamp, put that aside. I'm going to close my ink pad so I no longer have this temptation to stick my fingers in it. And let's get started on this. So I'm using Old Olive, and that's what I'm going to build my cactus with. Now, I live in New England. Our cactuses are only found in plant stores. And so, therefore, I don't actually know what they look like, but I'm gonna go with what I think looks. I looked it up online. I Googled it. This pot I can see is not straight, so I'm actually going to switch to this one. I know some of you were thinking that anyway. You're like, don't use that crooked pot. I'm not going to. Okay, so I'm going to start my cacti over here. I don't know what kind of cactus you call this, but I believe these are called knuckles when you kind of build it like this. I believe that is what it is called. So I'm going to go in that direction, like it's leaning that way. And then all of a sudden it's going to lean this way. And a little bit that way. Okay, so I'm happy enough with that. Did I get a little spot? I did. Okay, so let me show you what you can do with this. Sometimes this works, sometimes it doesn't. And this is live TV. So, if need be, I can cut off that side, but I'm using a sand and rubber eraser for ink and pencil. You can find these on Amazon. So I'm using the gray part of it, and that is going to give me, it's almost like it's a little bit of a, it's almost like a little sandpaper. I'm seeing that this is not likely to work for me. Oh, a little bit. It's coming down a little bit. Not completely. I might just live with it and go with it. Yeah, it didn't come off completely. It definitely lightened, but it didn't come off completely. So what I might do is just give, sure, why not? I'm going to give this a little trim. I am going to trim off. You cannot use this trimmer with something underneath. So let's trim this a smidge. I think that's going to be just fine. Sure. Now my pot is not in the middle. So I'm going to trim this side a smidge. Okay. That's going to be fine. I'm not concerned. All right. Let's bring back my pad. We've got something else to stamp. And we do. So I'm going to take some of my scrap paper. This is the paper that I was previously showing you, the mottled and the unmottled look. And I'm going to stamp another one of these upside down because I want to put one sticking up a little bit. So I'm going to use my punch. You have to know how your punch is positioned, or how the punch out is going to be positioned to know how best to stamp this. So I'm going to stamp. I stamped it in that direction, and I can bring in my punch just like this. All Stampin' Up stamps, I'm going to say all. Most, I'm going to say all. Stampin' Up stamps work best if you stamp, turn them upside down, and then punch. Then you know where pieces are going. All right. So that is that. And I think I'm going to put this guy kind of 3D-ish. So I'm going to pull out a dimensional. I'll use a baby dimensional here. And I'm going to stick that like that, as if it were coming off right there. All right. I'm going to stick it up. Well, yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Okay, let me show you the next thing that I'm going to do. I'm going to add some Cacti Flowers. So there's a punch that does that. There's the punch piece, kind of hard to see. Or you could stamp it. And if I had this nice and flat, I would probably stamp it. But because I have some of this sticking up, I think it's going to be easier to punch. And actually, I have previously punched a bunch of these, so I am good to go with this. So I'm going to grab my Pick-a-Tool. The Pick-a-Tool the Pick-a-Tool has a number of tools. It's got a putty end here, which is what I'm using. And that, you can also get a replacement for that putty, but it's really handy for picking up little pieces. And I'm going to put my green glue. I'm actually going to put my green glue right where I want the flower to go. I'm going to put it right on my actual card, or on my stamped image for these two. And I'm using Calypso Coral because that's the color that I'm using as the base of the card. So I think it's going to be a nice complement. All right, now I'm going to put these kind of, because I have green glue, I can kind of move them as I need to. I don't want them kind of facing exactly the same direction, because I don't think that's how cacti grow. They're little flowers. So I'm going to do it like that. And then this guy over here, because he's 3D, I'm going to put a 3D flower on him. So I'm going to take my dimensionals, my baby dimensionals. Now, normally baby dimensionals are perfect for this kind of thing, but these baby dimensionals are actually too big for the flower, so I cut them in half. I know, you're thinking, can they possibly make them smaller? And they could, but until they do, I'm going to have to cut my baby dimensionals up. Okay, so that works out fine. I'll show you how that looks. Take my pokey tool there, my picky tool, and I've got a half a baby dimensional on there. And I'm going to pop that right down here. And it's going to go off a little bit, but I'm okay with that. I actually really like that look, where it kind of goes into the margins of the card. It's a look I enjoy. All right, let me close up that. And let's glue this down. So I'm putting this on a layer of Old Olive. And the ink is Old Olive, so it should be a nice complement. Some people really like to put their things right in the center. And other people like things a little bit off-center. So however you like to do it, that's how you should do your card. I aim sometimes for the center, but if it doesn't come out, like, I'm okay with it being... If it's not going to come out perfect, you almost want to go not. Like you didn't plan it. Like you planned to go completely not in the center. Okay, so here is that. All right, now I think I'm going to stamp my word hello on here. And I think I want to use Calypso Coral, but do you think I put Calypso Coral away? Let me quickly... I cleaned it up earlier. I'm going to do this because our background is this color. Now, I think my hello is going to fit perfectly there. If it didn't, I would put it on an angle. So let me zoom you in so you can see that. So this I can see because it's photopolymer. I can see it's going to fit right there perfectly. But if it wouldn't, I'd be okay putting it on a little bit of an angle. And it would definitely fit if I didn't have to cut, if I didn't make my previous error. Oh, law, it worked. Okay, so let's clean that guy up and put this down. Okay, so here is the card. Whoa, unzoom you. That is unnecessary. Okay, so for whatever reason, my unzoom button live TV. Okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to go old school. Just raise it up. It is what it is. Okay. Try and fix that in a minute. But in the meantime, that'll work. Okay, so what I did for this is that I used this embossing folder called Textured Paint, or Paint Texture. I'm not sure exactly which way we call it. But it's a 3D So it's a hard, regular size embossing folder. So because it's regular size, you have to use the big embossing folder. There we go. I did it. We have to use the big embossing folder, or the big embossing machine. Big, by big, I just mean it's not the baby, to put this texture on here. What I love about this texture for this is that it kind of looks like stucco to me, or like, I don't know, Adobe? Something like that. The nice thing about it, too, to me, it also looks Italian. Looks like it could be in Italy. Also looks like it could be in the British Isles, in England or Scotland or Ireland. To me, that's what old buildings look like. Not in this color necessarily, but I really like this embossing folder because of that. All right, so that's why I'm using it on this here. So I think this is going to be nice. Now, as I told you before, some people like to put things down the center. In this case, I kind of put it askew over to that side. Now, because everything is hand cut, sometimes things stick up a little bit, and that is fine. You can just give a cut on your, bring it over to your trimmer and cut it down. In this case, I'm just going to give it a little quick haircut here. Just cutting the excess that's sticking up over the edge. Okay, okay, card number 1. So cute, right? Okay, so let's put that aside. That was blending. That was blending using ink pads and daubers. Okay, now blend. Now let me show you another blending. Oh, let me pull this one in. This was another sample that I did. This one was using pumpkin pie. So basically the exact same card using pumpkin pie versus Calypso Coral. So there we go. All right, now the next card, I'm going to do something different with blending. I'm going to use my blending brushes. And for this card, I am using Calypso Coral. Nope, I'm using pumpkin pie. Sorry about that. So let's pull that aside here. And I'm using my blending brushes to give me what I think looks sort of like a southwest skyline, if you will. Or not skyline. What do you call it? Sunset. Woo! Right. Okay, so I'm going to start with Daffodil Delight. I'm using my blending brushes. Blending brushes, these are Stampin' Up's blending brushes. I don't know if you can appreciate how soft and fluffy that is. It's fantastic. Fantastic. It's really good for what we're going to show you, which is blending. Apparently they were made initially to put on makeup, so apparently it's good for that as well. And they're very easy to wash. And I didn't know this until previously. So previously I had one sort of for each basic color, like a red, purple, blue, green, yellow, and brown. Since then, however, I have discovered that you can wash them in the sink. You just run regular water over on them until they kind of run clear, and then just kind of tap off the excess water and let them dry. They do take a couple of days to dry completely, so plan this when you're not planning on using them. But if you want to use them if you want to use them tomorrow and you want to change out colors, you're just going to do this on your scrap paper until you don't see any more color, and you should be good to go. Okay, so I'm starting with Daffodil Delight. I'm going to tap it into my pad, and then I'm going to start off the paper and bring in some of this yellow. The reason I'm starting off the paper is if you don't, you end up with like kind of a big blob of ink. Usually not the look you're going for, but sometimes you make it work. Okay, the next color I'm bringing in is Crushed Curry, which is a little bit darker. It's kind of hard to tell here, but it is definitely a little bit darker. And I'm starting on the side because I want to blend that in. I don't want it to go completely over the Daffodil Delight, the lighter yellow that I started with on the top. All right, I'm going to come down a little bit further on this, and then I'm going to bring in my next color, which is a brand new in color called Sweet Sorbet. For some reason, I keep calling it Soft Sorbet. It is called Sweet Sorbet. Okay, I'm going to tap that here. And this one I'm going to start at the bottom. You can see this is a really vibrant color. I want to start at the bottom and then fade it into the crushed curry. Now the thing about blending is it takes a little bit of time. So if it comes out, I don't know if you saw there was kind of a blob. There's a little bit of a blob there right now. For starters, we will totally cover that with something. But even if we weren't going to, if you keep blending over it, you're eventually going to end up with it's not going to show anymore. All right, so I think I'm happy with this. I think the inside is turned to a nice kind of orangey color, but I might go back and add a little bit more. Yeah, totally going to do that, because then it looks more orangey. So it kind of goes from your Sweet Sorbet color to an orangey color, and then fades into this Daffodil Delight, lightish yellow. It totally looks like Arizona, don't you think? Oh. Okay, let's close these and get them out of the way. Okay, so let's put these aside and let's get going on our actual card. Okay, so for this card, I am going to take some more of my scrap paper. Oh, I totally could have done that because that's exactly what I'm doing here, but I'm going to restamp it anyway. So I'm going to take my Tahitian Tide, because I'm using the same colors to build the card, Tahitian Tide and Old Olive and White. So I'm going to take my pot. I'm using the exact same pot. There are 3 pots in this, but I'm using the same pot. Oh, can you see that again? It's totally, there's a lot of bubbles on there. I don't know if you can see. There's a lot of bubbles on there. So let's give it a quick squish of the ink back into the ink pad. And then restamp. Much better. Much less blobby. Oh, I didn't stamp with the pad underneath, but I think it's okay. All right, that looks pretty good. I'm happy with that. Close that baby up. Now this is this punch here. That's going to go just like so. Oh, I got something cool to show you, too. I'm going to show you. That'll be an added bonus in 1 minute. Okay, so here is the pot for my cacti. And here is my background. This is really going to pop out nicely on there. Perfect. Okay, now I am going to cut out some cactus. Let me get some scrap paper here. This case, I'm going to use a different cactus. I'm going to use this one here. I don't know what you call this. I call it the dill pickle cactus because it looks to me like a dill pickle. But if you know what you call that cactus, let me know. All right, now, I'm not a fan of fussy cutting, but we don't have a punch for this. And it actually is not difficult to fussy cut. So the punch that comes with this stamp, or can come with this stamp set, the punch that coordinates with the stamp set, is different than many Stampin' Up! Punches because it doesn't leave a white frame around the punch. So most of the things that Stampin' Up!, most of their punches actually sort of frame, if you will, what you have just stamped. But this punch does not. And so, as a result, if you want to fussy cut anything else that comes in the stamp set, is pretty easy to do because you can cut right into the image. You don't have to worry about leaving the exact same border around it that the punch created. So, it's pretty quick to fussy cut. Even I can say that. I didn't mind that at all. That was not painful for me. Okay. So that's going to come on here. I think I'm going to put this on dimensionals because I love dimensionals. All right, so I'm at the end of my dimensionals. I'm using the edges of my dimensionals. You can tell they have been well loved, right? I feel like I have so many cards that I send have just like dimensional parts, not like full dimensionals. I don't know how that's possible because the majority of the sheet is dimensionals, yet I feel like I'm always using the edges. Okay, so I'm going to put this down on my soft sorbet section. Then I'm going to take my cacti. Oh, this part here is bugging me. I didn't cut it quite well enough. All right, that's fine. No, it's not. All right, I'm gonna pop that down inside of my pot like so. And then we're gonna give it a couple of sweet sorbet flowers. So if you're using the punch for the flowers, I recommend that you use, I have used a 3/4 of an inch to kind of get in there. Now, all sorts of other things get cut out when you're punching that out. You see, you can get that and you can get that. There's a lot of things that create a bunch of paper poop from this punch. So to minimize that, I'm using a 3/4 inch strip to just kind of feed through there. That seems to work out well. Okay, and well, I guess I'm going to have to use dimensionals if I've already started with that. So I'm going to cut into my mini dimensionals. Okay, I didn't cut through that guy all the way. Okay, and I should have previously prepped the dimensional part so that you wouldn't have to see me struggle with my dimensional. Tell you, if your biggest struggle all day is a dimensional, that's not a bad day. But this one is really challenging me today. All right, dimensional. I'm gonna have to take my picky tool out and straighten this guy out. Okay, so that's gonna go there, and this guy is going to go here. All right, as I was saying previously, this stamp set is available until the end of June or until it sells out. So if this is of interest to you, and I'm going to show you some other samples, so I don't know why it wouldn't be of interest to you, but if it's of interest to you, you want to act on it sooner rather than later. Okay, now I'm going to put, I'm going to put this on the green. Watch how this pops. Right? Like that was pretty, right? Southwestern skyline. Not skyline. I keep saying that. Sunset is what I mean to be saying. All right. If you are from the Southwest and you are tuning in, you can tell me if this is even close to accurate. And then I'm using the Tahitian Tide. Now, if you wanted to do a different color pot, I was looking for something that would kind of pop against the colors that I had, so that's why I chose that color. But you could do something a little bit more natural colored if you wanted to. That's a very popular look with cacti. You certainly could do that, but then I wouldn't necessarily use this bright blue behind here. Thanks, Lynn. Okay. All right, so let me put this on my previously embossed same folder. This is the exact same card in a different direction. So my first card was a portrait, and this card is what we're calling horizontal. What anybody calls horizontal, not just us. All right, now I'm going to take some words from the set and just stamp. Actually, I'm not going to take words from the set. I'm going to show you this. Oh, got one more thing to show you, and then I'm going to tell you some ideas that I had for this stamp set. So let's say you take, I'm looking for pumpkin pie. Okay, so let's take pumpkin pie and stamp this All right, let me make sure it's going to go in the right direction for my punch. And I stamp this, and I punch this out. This is the bonus I was telling you about. Does this remind you of anything? If you are a child of the 70s, I'm going to zoom in to give you a chance to look at it. If you come to my class this week, you've already heard me say this, but if you haven't, leave a comment below. Tell me what you think that reminds me of. Bonus points. Maybe I will mail you a card if you tell me what you think that is called. This is landscape. Was I calling this horizontal? Well, I was calling one portrait and one horizontal, right? Susan is right. This one is landscape because it goes the long skinny way. And the other card that we did previously tonight is portrait. So landscape and portrait. And I'm zoomed in so they look the same. Okay, if you can tell me what you think that is, I will send you my card. Okay, so let me pull in my cards, and then I'm going to tell you the ideas that I have for greetings that you could add to these cards. Because there's some good greetings that come in the stamp set, for sure. Just a note, as you know, is I love that, because it means the same as thinking of you, which means it could be for anything, and doesn't have to be for any specific occasion. As does hello. Hello, also a great greeting. This one, hope your day is on point. That's kind of a cute take on the cacti, if you will. All right. I was thinking of all the different sayings that you could put on this. So I put them in a note to myself here. Let's see where I put my note. Oh, Betty. Oh, here we go. Okay. So I was thinking that you could make it not this one, because this one is not quite so picky. But let's say you could use this one here if you wanted to break up with someone. And you could say, it's not you, I'm just picky. Okay, so that's one. The other thing I was thinking is that you could say, to my pickiest friend, you could send a card to my pickiest friend. Because we all know we have a picky friend, right? We all know who that person is. So instead of that, you could say that on there, on the inside. Another thing you could say is you could make, like, let's say you work in an office. You could make a bunch of Post-it notes like this. And then, like, if you're in charge of people, you could put, sorry to be picky, but blah, blah, blah is due, or whatever the case may be. You could put these on here. And then the last one, which would be really sweet, is that you could put something like this, and then you could say, I'd pick you, which I think would be a nice saying as opposed to all the other sayings, which are kind of snarky. Okay, Janice was saying that this reminds her of the strawberry shortcake hat, and she would be right that, yes, it does remind you of the strawberry shortcake hat, but that was significantly after the 70s, I believe. This reminds me, I'll tell you now, because if you didn't guess, I'm going to just have to tell you. This reminds me of the water buffalo hat from the Flintstones. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you have missed. I can't even catch you up on the Flintstones. That was an era unto itself. All right, so those are the cards for tonight and why I think you should buy this. But I also have some samples of other things made using the cactus set. We made these in my clubs this week. These were designs by Brenda Quintana. She's a Stampin' Up! A demonstrator for such a long time, and she made these adorable things that actually have candy in them. So thank you, Brenda Quintana, for that idea. So that was an idea. Another card we made was a fancy one, and this one opens like this, just a note, but then it goes, whoa, with all these cactus. So, in any case, so many ideas. Some are very simple. If you have the embossing folder that looks like this, I believe it was called Macrame. I believe it is no longer available, but that said, it could be on the, I don't know. You can look on the website because it might actually be, sometimes those things end up in the clearance rack. So I'm not sure. It was available in last year's catalog, but I'm not sure if it's still available. But it really is a nice accent to any kind of planty thing. So that was an idea for that. And then everything I used today was actually using the textured paint. All right, really quickly, some of the colors I used tonight: Tahitian Tide and Sweet Sorbet. Yeah, Sweet Sorbet, I got it right for once. If you are interested in those, there's a deal going on until the end of the month where with your starter kit from Stampin' Up, which is $125 of anything you would like in the catalog, for just $99. If you are in no shipping on that. If you purchase that this month, so if you get a starter kit this month, if you sign up this month, you also get this in-color bundle. So you would get all of the in-color ink pads, which would be 5 ink pads. I have 4 of them in front of me, but there are 5 ink pads that would come with this, in addition to an assorted pack of paper and the assorted pack of 6x6 in-color DSP. So you would get all that in addition to your starter kit. So it ends up being like $206 worth of product for $99, which is crazy, right? All right, let me flip you around and chat. So if you are interested in that, you definitely want to act on it soon because that special will end at the end of May. And it is May 17th today. So time is running short on that, but it's a really, really good deal happening right now. I, too, Susan is saying she loves the DSP prints. This could be my favorite. Stampin' Up! Generally comes out with assorted or DSP, that means designer series papers. They come out with that paper. It's double-sided, and they come out with different patterns every year. This is probably my favorite pattern of that they've come out with in a long time. There's flowers and plaids and stripes and polka dots. So yeah, it's really good. So if you're interested in that, you definitely want to act on that sooner rather than later. So go back to the demonstrator, whomever your demonstrator may be, she can definitely take good care of you. If you don't have a demonstrator yet, I'd be happy to help you out with that. So be in touch. Let me know if you have any questions on anything, and don't delay in getting this bundle, this Cactus Cutie Bundle. Moving forward, I'm probably going to move into things from the new catalog, but I didn't want you to miss out on something that I think is a little treasure in the current catalog and very affordable. So, all right, thank you. I will see you next Tuesday night for Tuesday Night Live, but leave me a message if you have any questions at all. I'll be happy to help you out. Thanks, guys. Have a good night. Bye.